Here's a question that feels almost too obvious to bother asking, right up until you actually try to answer it. Why did ancient humans start cooking their food? Every other creature on this planet eats exactly what it finds. Wolves don't marinate a kill. Bears don't roast the fish they pull from a river. Not one dolphin has ever assembled anything you could fairly call a meal. And yet, every human culture ever documented, without exception, on every continent, in every climate, at every level of technological development, cooks its food before eating it. Think about what that actually means. It is the one truly universal human behavior. Not language, which varies wildly from one group to the next. Not tool use, which plenty of other species manage in some form. Cooking, heat deliberately applied to food before it ever reaches your mouth, is something only humans do. Here's the part that should genuinely stop you in your tracks. We've been doing this so long that our bodies have quietly become dependent on it, in a way no other species depends on a piece of technology. You don't cook mostly because it tastes better, although it does. You cook because, in a biological sense, you cannot survive long-term without it. Your body has been physically rebuilt over an enormous stretch of evolutionary time into a shape that assumes cooked food is already on its way. Your jaw generates a fraction of the force a chimpanzee's jaw can produce. Your gut runs far shorter. Your teeth are smaller, your enamel thinner. None of that is a design flaw. It is physical proof that some ancestor made one of the most consequential decisions in the history of life on Earth and had their descendants' bodies quietly reorganized around it generation after generation. 2 million years ago, our ancestors sat at a fork in the road. Australopithecus was upright and clever, but still running essentially the same dietary program a wild chimpanzee runs today: raw fruit, raw roots, tough bark, and the occasional insect. That diet demanded an unbelievable amount of chewing. A wild chimp spends close to half of every waking hour doing nothing but grinding fibrous plant matter down, because raw food gives up its calories grudgingly. When primatologist Richard Wrangham tried eating what wild chimps eat while conducting field research in Uganda, his conclusion was clear. The food was tough, bitter, exhausting to get through, and yielded almost no usable energy. A human body, with our weak jaw and short gut, simply could not extract enough calories from a raw ancestral diet to stay alive. Something had to change. Something had to deliver far more usable energy per mouthful. To understand why cooking changed everything, you have to look at what heat actually does to food on a chemical level. Take a starchy root. Raw, its starch sits packed into dense, tightly wound granules that digestive enzymes can barely grip. Apply heat, and those granules absorb water and swell open, a process called gelatinization. Same object, same weight, but dramatically more energy extracted. Protein undergoes something just as dramatic. Heat denatures tough structural fibers, unraveling their structure so your digestive enzymes can tear through them with ease. Heat also neutralizes natural toxins and harmful pathogens, opening up plant and animal sources that were dangerous in their raw state. Fire essentially performs the first stage of digestion outside your body, letting you absorb a massive energy surplus. This energy surplus solved a massive evolutionary problem. Your brain consumes roughly 20% of your body's energy, while idling, gram for gram, is the most expensive tissue you own. In most primates, gut size outweighs brain size because fermenting raw vegetation requires a massive, costly digestive apparatus. But around 1.8 million years ago, with the arrival of Homo erectus, the fossil record shows a dramatic shift. Our ancestors' guts shrank, their teeth and jaws reduced, and their brain size surged. Less gut, more brain. A metabolic budget being reallocated. While archaeologists still debate the exact timeline of when controlled fire became routine, pointing to burnt bone and hearth ashes ranging from 1 million to 400,000 years ago, the biological result is undeniable. Cooking provided the calorie engine that powered the human brain. The hearth did something far beyond altering our anatomy. It created human culture. Once cooking collapsed 4 or 5 hours of daily chewing down to a single hour of eating, our ancestors were left with something revolutionary: time. For extra usable hours every day. Time to coordinate hunts, build better tools, and maintain complex social relationships. A fire forced people to gather, share, and protect one another. Sitting around a fire in the evening, bellies full, with predators kept at bay, storytelling became possible. Teaching became possible. Laughter, language, and connection all found a home in the exact hours once swallowed whole by chewing. So the next time you're standing at the stove or scrubbing a pot at some inconvenient hour, take a second to register the weight of what you're doing. You are carrying out the oldest, most distinctly human technology in our species' existence, older than farming, older than written language, and quite possibly older than speech itself. You are repeating an act that rerouted the trajectory of our entire lineage. It shrank your jaw, freed your time, protected your nights, and fueled the very brain you're using right now to understand these words. Every meal you cook is a direct continuation of the exact act that made us human in the first place.